Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and I'm here with a little bit of an experiment today. Now obviously I've got my gel plates out, I've got my 5x7 which I use as a palette, and I've got my 12x12 which is what I'm going to build my image upon. Now this is an experiment for me because it's something I haven't really done before, but it's inspired by Patricia. Patricia is the P. That's Patricia and that's Mariah from P.M. Artist Studio. Now, as you know, I design stencils, masks and foam stamps for this company. I love this company. I'm also part of their Facebook group, which is Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artist Group. I will put a link to their website and a link to that Facebook group in the description box down by there. Now, Patricia has done something a few times now that I've gone, I really want to try that, but I've not been really that brave. And I thought, right, I've got some time today, I'm going to give this a go. And what it is Patricia will put stencils down and she'll build up layers of paint and pull, layers of paint, pull, leaving the stencils on the plate all the way through, or masks, whatever she's using. And then at the very end, when she thinks she's built up enough layers of colour as outlines around them, she'll take them off, let it dry, and then pull the whole thing with one go. I'm going to give that a go. Now, there are a few things I need to say. I have noted that it works best with a clean conditioned plate, so I've conditioned my plate, and for those of you who keep asking me for a video about how I take care of my gel plates and how I store them, so I'm just working a couple of air bubbles out, that video will be done, it's just not filmed yet. So I've wiped this down with some mineral oil, I've taken off the excess, also done this just because I had it on the go. Also, it works best if you have stencils or masks that are relatively new. So I've got these butterflies. These are the butterfly masks called Swallowtail. I haven't used them, as you can see. Now, if I have more space than I have butterflies, I've actually got the monarch butterflies, which is another set of masks, which I've obviously used, but I haven't used the back of them. So the reason I'm saying that is because the UPO, which is what the masks are made of, grip best if they're new, so, or cleaner paint anyway. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to place these down roughly where I think they need to be. Now I'm just going for this. As I said, I've not done this before. I don't want to be too formalized, but I want the eventual print to make sense. So I think I'm going to just lay them out strategically like this, and I tell you why, because there may be, if this turns out really well, it's not straight, that butterfly doesn't look straight, if it turns out really well I might make a journal cover out of it, or I might just leave it as a background. I like this here, so I'm just going to bring in yes, I have a little one on angle there, and I'm thinking I might, will it look odd, do you think? I need to think this through a bit more, right? Because I just realised my journal cover would be 9 inches tall and not 12 inches tall. So this is the time to alter it because I can't alter it later. So this would be, let's see, that will pull to the left, right? Try and get my geography right. So if I pull this, the image will be reversed, which means it will be on that side of the print, which means this is the front cover of a journal, should I be making a journal from it, which I think I'm going to be. So come off here, you. So I'm going to do these ones down this side. This is the time to think about things, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. It's a good thing to think things through just in case. Right, if 3 inches is about that, so if I leave that there, but I don't mind if one goes on the back cover. I think this one needs to come up slightly. I should really have sketched this out or something first, but I think we're going to be okay. I have every confidence it's going to work. I'm going to pop this little one down here. If you're down, you need to go up slightly. So these would be the back cover of the journal. If indeed I do a journal, I'm trying not to get them overlapping. Not that that's a problem. I've seen Patricia do that several times where they've overlapped, and Patricia doesn't seem to have a problem. Probably guaranteed I would though. Right. Yes, I think we'll do that. And as we've got one spare butterfly, I'm going to pop that up there, because if that's, actually thinking about it, if that's the top. Sorry, having a moment. I have to remember that if I'm taking 3 inches off the top, I don't really want to take the bottom off a butterfly. I'd rather have that, I think will work. Right, that and that and that. You press down, yes. And then this spare butterfly, what does 3 inches actually look like? Right, 3 inches. 4.5 inches, right? This butterfly is not going to get used. I don't really want to mess this one up. So have I got some smaller ones with a monarch butterfly? I believe I do. I can get the little suckers out of here. There you go. Right, that's a little one. I don't mind it on an angle. And I've got it the clean side down, and I think I've got another one that will fit into there as well. Talk about procrastination, Griffiths. Right, is that within 3 inches? Near as darn it. I can just go up a fraction. Not that it's absolutely critical, but if I am thinking of it as a journal cover, I would quite like it to fit within the parameters of what I've got. And that means nothing is, I need to go up a bit further. It's worth taking your time, guys. That's what I'm trying to demonstrate to you. If I'm going to do this, a little bit of forethought is what I need to come up with. Right, we're going to marry that. We're going to call that done. Right, these other butterflies are absolutely stunning, but there's no room on this plate for them. Now, the aim is to put the paint into this so it starts to build an outline, and then you pull the paint off. But it leaves behind the line, and you're trying to create, so I'm going to need some of this kitchen towel as we go along. You're trying to create a kind of halo effect around the elements on the plate. So that's what I'm aiming for. Now, I'm going to be a little more cautious because I'm not used to doing this. And I'm going to put my black, or all my colours on here first, the 5x7, brayer it out, because if I go straight in and brayer over the top, I've got a feeling some of these butterflies could easily lift off, and I don't want that to happen immediately. If it happens a few brayers in, then I'll live with that. That's not a problem. But I mean, I've seen Patricia pull, well, I think 27 pulls from one of them, or something along those lines. It was a mammoth amount of pulls anyway. So I need to not get overly enthusiastic with my brayering, because we know that's going to lead to disaster. But I do need quite a considerable layer of paint down into the apertures of the stencil or the mask, depend on the way you're viewing what I'm doing, as in these are masks but the holes in them are the stencil. So right, now I know black dries quite quickly, so I don't want to procrastinate too long. And I'm going to come in, and I've got some water resistant tissue paper, which in this instance is carnival tissue paper. I'm going to use a kitchen towel on the back, purely because otherwise I get it all over my hands. So I've got loads of paint on that there. I'm just going to push this down into this. I think I'm just going to have to pull that onto a separate bit of tissue, and all my tissue gets used for gel printing anyway. Not gel printing, for collage anyway. So first rookie mistake, I used too much black paint. That's me. That's what I normally do, to be honest. I use too much paint. Hence I go through a lot of paint. But there you go. So I'm just pressing this down, making sure it goes into the apertures, but I don't want to push it down too much that it takes everything out. Right, I'm going to be very cautious when I pull each of these consecutive layers. So we'll take a look at the gel prints at the end. So if you don't see them on the screen, don't worry, I will show them to you at the end because that's how it rolls. So I'm going to do another pull just to try and lift a bit more of that off. So I must admit, Patricia, I find this a bit nerve-wracking. My anxiety is beginning to peak already and I'm only on the second ball. So, but never mind, it's an experiment. I need to bear that in mind. There is no right, there is no wrong. There is just creativity. Right. Another thing I noted is don't leave the tissue on the thing too long, gel plate too long, because what that will do is it'll encourage to stick to the masks and lift them. Right, I don't mind that amount of grunge on there. That's pretty nice. Right, just while that's sitting there a second, I'm going to brayer off some of this black. Again, the paper I'm using over here, which is my roll-off, gets used in other things as well. Just using some spare bits of tissue just to pull it because I don't have black tissue. But guess what? I do now. So just by printing the acrylic paint onto black tissue means I've got black tissue. It won't have a lot of the properties of tissue because, of course, there's a layer of paint on it. So, but it is a nice way to reinforce your tissue paper a little bit, and I could use that easily for collage and it wouldn't be a problem. Right, I am going to get a cloth and wipe this off because otherwise the black is going to contaminate absolutely everything I do. I'm going to clean my brayer off a bit as well. I don't know whether Patricia did this. I'm just one of those people who cleans my brayer. I've never had a brayer skin yet. Right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to immediately, is that going to be dry enough? I think that's going to dry. So we're waiting slightly for this to dry before I put the next layer on. Now, I think I'd quite like to add, I've got some of this Arteza wine red. I think I want to add some of that onto here as well now, just to build up. And I've just got to, there's one thing I'm going to do that I know that I'm going to mess up on, is I'm probably going to get too enthusiastic and brayer and pick up a butterfly, and I really, really don't want to do that. So fingers crossed, guys, fingers crossed. So I've probably got too much paint yet again. I think the too much paint in this instant isn't me being heavy-handed. I just know that I do have to get paint down into the design. So, yeah, I will try and link, if I can. Yeah, I can probably find it. Every week, Patricia and Mariah, or PM Artist Studio, do 3 lives. They're on a Tuesday, Thursday, and a Sunday. I'll just get another piece of paper. I'm not going to quote times because, to be honest with you, they're Texas times, so it'll be different to whoever is watching this as to wherever you are in the world. So for me, in the UK, that means that the Sunday one is sort of late afternoon, whereas the Tuesday and the Thursday ones end up being late evening, quite late evening actually, because I tend to go to bed early, so I have to stay up. But that's fine. I enjoy it. It's a wonderful learning, sharing experience. Actually, let's see if I can find it. While I'm doing that, here you go. Those are the times on Central Time America that the lives are. The lives are 2 hours long. They're a great place for asking questions, discussions. It's a great community over there on PM Artist Studio YouTube channel and the Facebook group as well. So yes, highly recommend that. I'm one of their designers, so I'd be more than happy to see you over there. If one of my designs inspires you, that would be fabulous. Right, let's lift this off. I'm not worrying about the gunk on there. See, that's a really nice thing that I can use for collage. Carnival tissue paper, by the way, let's talk about that while I've got it on the go. Carnival tissue paper for me is, I'm in the UK, Great Britain, and and it's shipped from here, I believe, so I don't know whether it's actually manufactured here or not. I like it. It's a tougher tissue paper than a gift wrap tissue paper. It's a water resistant, I believe. I don't say it's waterproof. I would say it's water resistant. It tears in one direction really easily. However, in the opposite direction, it doesn't tear very well. You've kind of got to get in there with the scissors or be very nifty with your tearing skills. So let's put it that way. But I love it. It can run very expensive. However, I tend to buy the bundle. I think the bundle is about 300 sheets, and 300 sheets will give me two 12 by 12s and this strip. So then once I cut it into half, of course, what do I end up with? I end up with 600 sheets and 600 of these. Sorry, mathematically challenged. The narrow one would be 300. So I look like I've got a little tiny bit in there that shouldn't be there. It's no longer there anymore. So yeah, and I find that lasts a really long time. So if you've got friends who actually do gel printing as well, order a bundle and actually split it between you. I'm not earning commission or anything from this company. They probably don't even know I exist. So, but there you go. Right, so I've got that on there. I'm liking the build-up of grunge that I've got going on here. I'd like to put something in here. I'm trying to think of where I want to go with this eventually, like what the background will be. And I think I want to keep the background quite light when I've finished it. So, okay, this is what I call one of my mix bottles. And this is basically a bottle that used to be turquoise. And as other bottles of turquoise have actually run down low, I just keep putting them into the same bottle. So it's sort of a hybrid colour. Now I haven't put much paint down here this time because it's a reasonably fluid paint. I should be okay with only using a little bit of it to get down into these butterflies. Now remember, the aim is to build up the outlines within the butterflies to capture that detail. It's not necessarily to get a perfect pull every time on the plate. Those are just the benefits. I would like to get down into there just to build up the layers. Now, if you do try this technique, you need to know it doesn't always work. I mean, it's one of the magics of working on a gel plate. Sometimes the magic works and the plate is good to you. Sometimes the magic doesn't work and the gel plate quietly sniggers at you in the background. So just be aware of that. It doesn't always work, which is probably why I haven't done it so far, purely because with the amount of deadlines I've got on the go, I don't always have the time to spend experimenting, but I really like the effect that Patricia was getting. And I went, you know, I'm going to set aside a little bit of time and do this. There is also another reason I'm doing this. Within the Mixed Media Art and Artist group, Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artist Facebook group that PM Artist Studio run, they have several things going on every single month. Challenges, swaps, things like that. I mean, I run with Paula, we run the colour combo every month. There's also a YouTube and a non-YouTube collaboration where basically there's a theme. The YouTubers will then create a YouTube around that theme, and the non-YouTubers will actually create a piece of art that they can post onto the website as well. So no one's excluded. And I decided that each month, if I have time, which unfortunately I didn't have time in March, I would actually try and do the non-YouTuber one, purely because I can create something in my own time without having to video it. And that looks lovely. I'm liking that. That was a good choice. So I can create something in my own time, and then I can, the trouble is I only have the afternoons to video because that's the best time with natural light, which is how I film. And the schedule I have for releasing 2 or 3 videos a week, besides the other jobs I hold, I don't always have a lot of spare time with the prep and everything. So it's nice for me to do something when the camera's turned off. I can just enjoy myself and create something. And I thought this month's theme is actually winging it, as in winging, winging it. And I thought, you know what, if this comes off, there's butterflies have got wings, surprise there. And also I'm just having a go, which in my mind is Ceri's winging it. So if this works, I'm not going to post the video as part of the video collaboration, but I will post the image of this and then post the video separately, because if you post the video, you're then part of a chain of videos, and I don't quite get how it's all linked together. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. Right, okay, now, right, I've got this deep gold by Amsterdam. Now, gold isn't a, metallics are not a fabulous paint for doing this technique as far as pulling, but it is quite nice to have little patches of gold in the background, or maybe trapped down in the butterflies. To be careful, that antenna looks like it's about to lift off, that one there. So I think I hit the butterfly a bit too eagerly then. So also for me here in the UK, metallics dry really, really quickly. I could put a retarder into them, but I don't. I just leave it as it is. Right. Let's get a pull off this one. I don't think my patience is going to let me do 29 or 27 pulls before I pull this. I'm going to be too impatient. I'm going to want to see what's going on under this. But we'll see. We will see. Now I'm just dabbing down because if I rub, I could move the butterflies around. That's my view of it anyway. Right, I have to work quite quickly with metallics because they dry so quick it could lift things off. Oh, that's nice. That's interesting. I'm liking where this is going. It's looking a bit old worldy, painty sort of wall sort of thing, and I like that. I think I want to keep that going. I'm thinking maybe I want to put a magenta or a darker colour in here. I've got a plum purple. Let's try a bit of plum purple in here. Feel free, by the way, to fast forward to the end. I mean, seriously, if you're enjoying your cup of tea and your chocolate biscuit, that's absolutely fine. But just know that I'm never upset by people fast forwarding. I choose to like filming stuff in as much real time as I can. If there's some really boring bits, I will either edit them out or I will fast forward them. I don't really like to do speed on my videos, but sometimes I do. So yeah, feel free to skip to the end. Also at the end, if I remember, I'm going to share with you a special code you can use if you happen to want to buy anything from PM Artist Studio. I would love for you to pop over and look at my designs, obviously, because that's who I am. I'm the designer. These are not my designs. These butterflies, which are absolutely fabulous, are actually a design by PM Artist Studio themselves. They have, I've got to say, at least 250, I think they might have said 270 different designs now for products. I think that's amazing, and I think they're doing a fabulous job, and I enjoy working with them. Right. Now, at this point, the pads of my fingers are just enough to go down into those gaps. So if I carefully do this, I should be able to get the majority of that down into there so it doesn't move around. Then I come in with my bit of kitchen towel, kitchen paper, whatever you call it in the country you're in, and press this down. So yes, there are videos on the blocks that are meant to be filmed by me, but the list, we're not talking 1 page of videos now, we're talking about 7 pages of videos that are all requests from my subscribers to do. I will work through things, guys. I promise you I'm working through them as quickly as I can. But I'm also doing collaborations with other companies. I'm working with craft companies as well. So I get to stuff when I can. So thank you for your patience, and please, you're not forgotten. If you've requested something in the comments, I have a specific book where everything is written down. I try to record the name of the person who requests it. And eventually, one day, I hope to get through that whole list, which would be a miracle in itself, to be honest, because the list is enormous. But it certainly helps me. I don't have to be inspired. I've already got all you guys doing it for me. That's looking lovely. Right, let's put that down. Now, I'm getting to the point where I'm already liking what I've got on the plate. I could lift the plate up and turn it around and look from the other side, which would give me an idea of what I've actually got to play with here. But to be honest with you, I don't want to do that at the moment because it's all nicely laid out. It's all centralised for you. Well, I hope it is. It was when I did the test anyway. Let's leave that to one side because I don't use that bit again. I think I need a fresh one of these. It's getting a little bit painty on me. And can I see the timestamp on this? Right, we're already, so I've done that so that when I look through the camera, I can see what the timer says. So we're about at half an hour, so that's fine. As you know, I don't really like to go over an hour. Right, so we've gone dark. I think I want to put a pop of something now, like a bit of an intense yellow would work for me. Right, cadmium yellow deep hue. I love this colour. There was a colour by Arteza called Sunflower, which I absolutely adored. However, I found I couldn't buy it singly. I could only buy it in a set, but I ended up finding this, which is, well, it's a fabulous colour yellow, which looked almost exactly the same colour. So I can get the Winsor & Newton here in this country a lot easier. So that's what I went for. So I'm hoping that this will give it a real nice warm punch. I'm intrigued to see if this works for me. I've seen Patricia do it now 4 or 5 times. And I'm like, I'm sure I can do that. I mean, there is a video of me trying to do a multi-layered, multi-stencil, multi-patterned print, which I saw Elizabeth St. Hilaire do, and she did a fabulous job. Most things she does is fabulous. Anyway, however, I tried replicating it and made a complete mess up. It didn't work. I ended up with a really nice print, but that's because I veered away from what I was supposed to be doing in the end and just made it into a really nice print. But I will be redoing that challenge. I'm not one to be beaten easily, but then I'm not going to go to battle over something which I just can't seem to manage. So yes, so watch out for that. I didn't achieve it the first time, but I have a feeling I know where I went wrong. I really do have a feeling I know where I went wrong. So I'm going to redo that challenge. And it was a challenge. It was certainly a challenge to me anyway. All right, press this down. I need to start thinking about what colours I'm going to pull this with. Now, I would like to pull it with a light colour. Now, I'm thinking probably a cream or an ivory, something along those lines. But looking at the way this is going, I'm not sure whether that's the right colour anymore. I quite like the idea of a turquoise or a teal, maybe a pink and a terracotta. Now, those of you who know me know I'm not a fan of pink. Love the music, don't love the colour. However, I do like the combination of pink and brown together. I like pink and teal together as well. Odd, isn't it, how we all have our favourite colours. Let's lift that off there gently, because I've got a feeling we're getting to the point where things might start moving. Wow, that's lovely. Ooh, that's a keeper. I wish that was on paper, I can tell you. That's stunning. Loving that one. Things are beginning to work. They're beginning to cook, as I say. Let's brayer that off there. Right. Now, I've got to be a little cautious, I think, from here on in, for the simple reason that things on this plate, I think, are beginning to get sticky. And when things are sticky, they're going to start lifting. But I love, this is fabulous in the background. Right. I think I'm going to come in and do a Fran Baker. Fran loves copper. And I quite like copper. And I think if I put some copper in here, that's going to really, when we turn it over, it's going to really amp it up. So, right, I've got some iridescent copper by P.M. Next time I see this company, I'm going to get one of them to tell me how to pronounce that name. Pebbo. And if they don't mind, I'm going to video them saying it, because there are a lot of us out there who don't actually know how to say it. Right, there's a lot of paint on here. It's probably way too much paint. But I need to go in this direction for those antennae, because I've noticed that one little antenna keeps moving around, which means I probably won't have the antennae on the final print because the paint will have gone underneath it. But I'm okay with that. I'm trying to, and I've been trying this for a couple of years now, I am trying to get away from perfect. Because in my opinion, perfect is an unachievable goal. Excellence is not. Also, I have a train of thought that says, if you end up with something perfect, how do you go any better than perfect? So anyway, I'm trying to get away from my perfectionism, and I think I'm getting there. I think every time I do something, I keep reminding myself, perfect is not the goal. There you go, just rub that gently on there. Now, as I said, metallics dry quite quickly for me here in the UK. It's funny because it's one of the only paints that does dry quickly for me here. But then here in Wales, we are definitely, we're a damp country, let's put it that way. There's a reason why it's green here in Wales, because there's so much damn rain all the time. But I love it. It's my homeland, the land of song. If you think I'm going to break into song at this moment, think on. I'm going to leave that up to Darcy. Darcy, hit a note, girlfriend, hit a note. So, mind you, I was laughing the other day. I did comment on one of Darcy's videos. By the way, that's Darcy's Misadventures with Mixed Media, a friend of mine in the States. But she has this habit of, Darcy can sing any lyric you like to the tune of Smelly Cat from Friends. It just makes me smile. I do love that she's just absent-mindedly singing. It just shows she's in a happy place. I love that. It's absolutely beautiful to hear someone enjoying what they do so much that it encourages them to sing. I was going to say forced then. It's nothing forced at all. Ooh, yes. Eat your heart out, Fran. That's a keeper. So let's get that on the floor. I just have to make sure I don't get overly confident now, because you know what's going to happen. I'm going to get overly confident. I'm going to brayer on there and blitz the whole thing. I wish this was a live, actually. I've never got round to doing a live. I'm a bit nervous of the technology it's going to take for me to do a live. I also think it's possibly my controlling nature. I wouldn't feel comfortable. Well, I don't know how people do it. I mean, for me to operate a camera, have a conscious stream of thought, to be able to create something, to look at a monitor or my iPad to answer comments all in one go, I'm not sure I can do that. I really, really don't think I could juggle all those balls at one time. Right. Let's have a think. So we've had a few lighter colours. I'm thinking I want to add Prussian blue. Have I got Prussian blue? I thought I did. Right, it wasn't the one I was looking for, but I think it'll do. Prussian blue hue. I always get mixed up between my hues and my, well, you know what I mean. But I think this is what I want. I want a layer of dark just to encapsulate the bronze, the copper we've just put on there. And then probably got too much paint again, Griffiths. I do love Prussian blue. Right, let's go this way up on here to preserve the antennae. Patricia, if you watch this video, which there's a chance Patricia will watch this video, I'm quite open to getting any critique. I think I'm bearing in mind all the things you said. The end result will obviously tell, but yes, I have no problem with critique. As long as it's constructive criticism, I never have a problem with criticism, or constructive criticism at least. I like learning from my errors. I also like learning from other people's expertise. If someone has an opinion and they have the right to have that opinion and it's delivered in a constructive way, I am more than happy to listen to it. If someone's just jumped on the bandwagon and thinks they can have a go at someone, that I'm not okay with. So, being an artist, and I'm not talking about, well, I am talking about me, I suppose. Anyone who wants to be an artist or feels comfortable sharing their creativity with the world is a very brave person. A lovely one. I think there's enough on there to give it another pull. So I did have a lot of paint on that one. And I'm just going to not necessarily go down with the kitchen towel again, but I am going to pull off some of that background. There you go. Ooh, this is looking lovely. I'm loving this. So, do I keep on going or do I not? Now, the way to sort of check is for me to lift the edge of something up and have a look at it to see how much of an outline I have. But the moment I do that, I then loosen that piece, the grip of it on the plate. But I think I need to do it, and I think I'm just going to lift this one here. Right, there looks like there's a really nice outline there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm not going to add any more colour to the butterflies, but I am going to come in and add something to the background. We all know I like using this corrugated card, so I think I want to put some of that into the background now. I'm thinking green at this point. This is anise green. I'm not sure this is the right move, but I'm not talking a massive amount either. I'm just talking little elements of green within this to make this a coherent image. So I'm just going to come in, press the corrugated card down. Now, the reason I've left the butterflies there is because obviously I won't get the lines on the front side of the butterflies if I work like this. I'm going to take this torn edge and bring it down there. That's better. This can go to one side. Right, there's way too much green on there. That's fine because I'll lift it. lift it with this. Yeah, these pieces I'm lifting here, I have a big box that I keep all of my coloured tissue in, and it all goes into collage or abstract art, things like that. I love that. All right, we'll look at everything when I'm finished. I promise you, we'll do that. Pure because I'd like to see it as well. So what else do I want to put in here? Now remember, this is what we're looking at here is going to be the face of the print when it's pulled off. Because what I'm going to pull this with is I'm going to pull it with an opaque paint, which will give it the background. I'm trying to visualize this in my mind, so I know I've got some grungy bits on there. I know I've got some vibrancy on there. I don't particularly want to use black. I'm thinking of pulling it with a cream or an ivory, or I'm unsure. I could even use a couple of colours on the last pull. I've got this, I think this must have been packaging or something. And I think I want to put a little bit of a grid into here. I'm going to use some of this brick red. Again, I don't need a huge amount of it. Says he probably squeezing out far too much. It is a relatively fluid paint, so I'm just going to pick up pieces of it. Maybe just a little bit up there. I need to remember this piece is probably not going to be part of the cover, so I can expend a little bit of energy on that one. I'm wondering, I know everyone's going, oh, he's going to add bubble wrap to it. Actually, you're right, I'm thinking about adding bubble wrap. Now, once I pull the image, of course, I can go in and add something over the top, but I don't think I want to, purely because I quite like the butterfly outlines to be the very first thing you see. Now, I did say earlier on I wanted to use turquoise or teal, and if I'm going to pull this with ivory or cream, now's the time to use that turquoise. Yeah, I really do. I think I'm going to use bubble wrap. You know me. Creature of habit. I've got a couple of different. So that's quite fresh looking. That's quite stark. I'm trying to think. I think this one, because if the back is pale, then I think I need to use this one. Crumbs of paint. Again, not a huge amount, Griffiths. Yeah, don't need a huge amount. So I'm just going to come in, lift up some of that. I seem to have avoided the middle again, haven't I? So I'll pop this through. Now the good thing is this will actually potentially go through the wings of the butterflies as well. Let's put a little bit more down there, because I think that would be an interesting place to see it. Right, let's clean this up, and then I think we're going to call ourselves done for the moment. And by done, I mean it has to sit. Well, I have to take the butterflies off, but then I have to sit and let it completely dry before I put the backing on it, or else all my hard work is going to be wasted, because it's going to lift off as I'm brayering the backing colour on. So there's going to be a moment where I put you on pause, guys. So let's pull out of the way. Let's see if I've got a bit of a tool I can use. Right, this has got a reasonably soft end to it, so lift up the butterflies gently. See, that's what I was talking about. So let's put those down somewhere where they're not going to stick to anything. Excuse my arm in the way. I'm happy with this. As long as I don't mess it up when I try and lift it, I'll be very happy with this. Thank you for the inspiration, Patricia. This was an experiment I've been putting off doing because I didn't know that I'd be capable of doing it. But I seem to have achieved it so far. Fingers crossed that I'll be able to lift the whole thing. Is that every butterfly? Every butterfly. Right. So at this point, I'm going to lift this up and turn it over. Ignore the sticky dots, but as you can see, that's a pretty impressive print. I'm still debating what colour to pull it up with. I could use several colours on here in one go, mind you, I must admit. Right, I'm going to pause the video here because this needs to fully dry. Okay? It'll be 2 seconds wait for you. I'm going to wait probably about half an hour before I pull this because the last bits I put on were not put on with a brayer. Therefore, they're going to be slightly thicker, like these lines here. If I was to touch them now, I know they're going to lift. So I'm just going to leave everything where it is and I will come back to you in 2 seconds and then we'll go ahead and lift this. And remember, stay tuned to the end of the video and I will give you a special code that you can use to get a discount at PM Artist Studio. So bear with me, guys. So here I am back again. It's been a good half hour, and if I touch this, I can tell it's dry. Even the bits that I thought wouldn't be. Wouldn't be. You can see I've lost the will to speak. Now I've given this a bit of a clean off because it didn't need to dry on there, and I've given it a little bit of thought of what I want to do. I think I want to add some pink into this, just flicking it with a brayer. And then I'm going to pull it with buff titanium, but I want to put a bit of yellow in here just to warm this up ever slightly because it's a lovely colour, but I have a feeling it's just a bit flat. And don't ask me to explain that, it's just a bit flat. And then once the paint's down, then I will bring in a 12 by 12, put it on top, and then it's going to have to dry fully. So I'm just going to open up some of the pink. Now this pink is actually a chalk paint, so I know it's not a problem. I've used it before. I like chalk paint. I don't want a huge amount, I just want a bit. And I don't really know why my instincts are telling me pink. It just is. Take that area there. Try to take away some of the harsh edges of that. To just building up a little bit of something, just so that there's another tone, if you want to call it, so something. I'm using words I may not get the right word, but you know what I mean. There's going to be a little bit more interest in it that will add some variety. So don't mind that in there. It's probably going to be dry by the time I put the next layer on anyway. But what I want to do is mix this up. Now I know I'm probably going to have too much paint. I'm absolutely certain I'm going to have too much paint. But at this point, if I mess this up and have to stop putting paint on halfway through, then it's going to be a problem. If I've got spare paint left on here, I don't mind. Just wanted a little bit of that. We're going to mix that on the plate because I'm not sure it's exactly the colour I want until I see the colour. See, that's added just a little bit. Can you see that? Yes, you can. That's added a little more warmth to that. So, right, guys, fingers crossed this works. Now, what you need is you do need a reasonable coat of paint to pull a print with this much paint on it. Now, if I do run out of paint, I'm just going to put buff titanium onto the plate and keep going. because at this point I can't stop because everything will dry on me. There's something stuck to my brayer. That's fine. Right, let's put that down and get this immediately on there. And this was the important bit. Now I'm going to grab my Baron. A Baron is a wooden tool. Well, it's not necessarily wooden. This one is a wooden tool that will help me press this down firmly. And I really am bearing down, no pun intended, on my print because I want to make sure that all of that paint that I've just put in squidges around any paint that's already dry on there and encapsulates it. So I'm sorry if my camera shakes. I'm particularly looking at the edges just to make sure that they're fully down because that's where the first bit of drying is going to happen. Right. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to let this sit for a while before I pull it. I'd like to say I'm going to let this sit overnight, but I can absolutely guarantee you that's not going to happen. I'm too impatient for that. It's a nice sunny day here, so I know that it's going to pull. Well, let's just put it this way, fingers crossed it's going to pull. After all of the success of this so far, I would be very upset if it didn't pull. But then again, if it doesn't pull, it'll be my own fault for being impatient. Right, this needs to come off here. And I think what I'm going to do then is I'm going to pause the camera for a couple of seconds and get together all of the pulls that we've made so far, because I did promise you that we'll show you them all. So that'll give me a little more time for this all to dry. Let's just take this off here. Told you I probably had too much paint. So, but as I've said 100 times before, I use it all for collage. That's not a problem. I also can't wait too long because it's about gone 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I know the way the sun moves in my back of my house that I'm going to start losing the light if I'm not careful. So give me 2 seconds, guys. Just going to pause you so I can collect all of the prints together. So here we go. So these are the ones that I cleaned up the 5x7 with. Actually, looking at that, I can probably get a little bit more of that 5x7 just in case. No, I can't. So I know these are just clean offs, but if I didn't show you, someone's going to ask me, why didn't you show me? So these are just the things I just picked the excess paint up with. I would use these for collage, I will use them for abstract, I would use them on arty postcards. Nothing goes to waste here unless there's no use for it whatsoever. So that is what I'm trying to say. Now, the bigger prints, I tried to keep them in order, but I could have messed them up in the order, but we'll see. So this was the very first print. I mean, I think that's quite nice. I would use that on its own, to be honest. And then this was the secondary print because I wanted to make sure that I took the black out of it. Now, I don't know whether we went to burgundy straight away. I sort of got lost at this point, but they're all useful prints. This one I particularly like. I love that. That's got a nice, something about that that's really nice. Then I must have gone to gold at some point because I ended up with this one, which is a really, I like that. That's got a subtlety about that. Then we went to, I think we went to plum. This must have been a plum colour. And it looks like it was after the gold because I can see the gold in it. Then I went to that, what was it? The cadmium yellow hue. And I love this. This is a favourite of mine. I can see, I'm going to use that for something else, I can tell you. Then I used some copper. I know I used copper. Again, bits of copper in there. I then went to the Prussian blue, which I knew I had too much paint, so I did a second pull of the Prussian. And this is probably one of the star players as well. So a couple of really nice prints there. And as I said, I will use them. I love that one. Really do love that one. And that one. They're just loving those. So let's put those to one side. Now, I do know that this print hasn't had enough time to dry yet. So I'm not even going to risk it just yet. What I'm going to do, I can feel by the temperature of that that's nowhere near dry. And I'm not even going to try and lift an edge at this point. So I'm going to have a big clean up, sort all the paints out, put them back. There is one more pull, which is the one that we just did, the cream titanium titanium buff one, which I just pulled. I didn't layer it with the others because it's still wet. So this is going to sit for quite a while. I'm going to have a really massive cleanup, and then I will pull this with you. But just because if you don't want to hang around, I want to let you know something. So the company I'm talking about is PM Artist Studio. PM Artist Studio based in Texas. They sell some art supplies. They sell masks, stencils. You've seen me using the monarch and the swallowtail butterflies. I designed for them. So by all means, go over there and do a search by designer and you'll find I've got quite a lot of products on there. And I use mainly mixed media stuff, so the really useful designs. If you do wish to buy anything, if you have an order that's over $30 in value and you type this in at checkout, you have to type it in exactly like this, you will get an extra 10% off any order over $30 as long as you haven't used another code as well. You know what, especially for us here in the UK, that 10% does save a bit on the postage and packaging, so God love that. So I'm going to hit pause for you guys, hopefully take about half an hour to do a really big cleanup, and then I'm going to risk it after about half an hour. I know that Patricia leaves hers overnight. I don't have that luxury. I've got to get this off the plate today, or I'm never going to get this edited tonight and ready for upload tomorrow. So see you in a couple of seconds, guys. Okay, it's been probably about 45 minutes, I'd guess. This feels a little cool, but I don't know whether it's because it's on a stone plate and the stone plate is really, really cold. I'm a nervous wreck because I don't want this to be ruined, and I'll show you why in a second. I can't afford to leave this overnight because I don't have the time. It's a lovely warm day here. I think this is going to pull. I conditioned my plate, but it's in the lap of the gel gods at the moment, so this is why I want it to work. That is phenomenal as far as I'm concerned. I absolutely love that. And we're going to pull it. And we're going to keep our fingers really well crossed that all of this lifts off, because I'm just... I'm not one for normally leaving things on a plate. I usually do quick pulls. It's not very often I leave something, so... I don't know. Let's just do it. Okay. Let's go slowly, slowly. Now, I do know Patricia's always saying, work your way around the edges first, because if it's going to tear anywhere, it will tear at the edges. Well, so far, it looks like it might be working. Right, I'm not going to do that upside down. That would just be silly, wouldn't it? So... I don't know that I'm going to be able to go all the way around the edges. That's just... I will try and keep this as much in shot as I can, guys, but... Ooh, I'm excited. I think the secret was conditioning the plate in the first place. Oh, yay! I'm so happy, you have no idea. Right, let's lay the little baby down. Okay, right, I need to try and roll it in the other way just ever so gently. I don't want to damage it in any way. I am colour me excited. All I need to do is just trim this lower edge off here, because obviously that little bit I must have missed the edge of the plate. But then my gel plate, my 12x12, because it's so old, it is considerably old, it's slightly warped and it's just distorted. I have no real problem. I could come in and just colour that down with a bit of brown, but oh my god, is that not just... I am so damned happy with that, you have no idea. I'm glad we put the extra detail in. I'm even glad I put the green in, because the green is there, but if you can just see it, it's subtle. I know the pink is in there because I can just see patches of the pink where I put the pink through. I'm happy I warmed up the titanium buff, because I think if I hadn't, this would have lost that little bit of warmth. I love that. I'm so happy about that. I may just have to stand and watch that for a little while. Okay, guys. Thank you for being on this journey with me. That was an experiment. Patricia, thank you for the inspiration to try this method. I am so damned excited. It's fabulous. And I think if I cut that bit off and make it into a journal, and that will be the journal cover, like that. But to be honest with you, there's a good chance I may just leave this as is, because I'm loving that. Right, I've chopped on enough. I have no idea how long this video is going to be, but as I've said before, if there's anything really boring or anything that's just clean up, I will clip that out. So if we jump from one scene to another, just know I've taken out a piece that was just cleaning up or just me thinking, which I tend to stand and think for a little while. But this, I am so pleased. So very, very, very pleased. Right, okay, time for me to stop procrastinating. So thank you guys for being on the journey with me. I tried to give you as many hints and tips as I could that I'd learned from Patricia along the way. They worked for me. They could easily have not worked for me. So thank you very much. I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time. Bye-bye now.